What is up, everybody? Meriden Gaming here, and we're back for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Tank Showcase and Review. We finally have a decent replay for the Tier 8 American Tank Destroyer, the T28, which is the assault line, heading towards that T95, and the T110E3. As you can see, it's a very similar design, not quite as wide as the T95, but also not quite as heavily armored, sadly to say. So let's go ahead and take a look at this armor profile. So here in the bottom, yeah, not great. 200. Well, actually, it's going to be more like this, but anything over 250, yeah, you're going to go through that. Over 260, you're going to go through here. And of course, you also have these two cupolas on top. So you're an assault tank destroyer, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that is just going to load gold and throw that at you. So you're not quite as good as the T95. You can make it work though with the angles. There will be a lot of shots because, like I said, this is like a 50% chance to go through if it's yellow. And of course, the red is like, yeah, not very much at all. Or 38% chance there. All right, but yeah, the other one thing you have to watch out for, artillery focusing you. You have to stay already safe because you have very light armor on the top. So there's a lot of those that can they're not going to one-shot you, but they're going to do a lot of damage rather quickly, especially since you can face the tier 10s in this. So they can do 1,000 damage, some of them. So you definitely have to watch out for that. Specifically the was it the 53/55? 53/55? That thing is a beast. One of the best tier 9, well, best arties period, at tier 9 for the Americans. So you definitely have to watch out for those. Make sure you stay already safe. Anyway, let's get to the comparison. So the other assault tank destroyers, we've got the SU-101. Not quite as good because it doesn't have quite the armor, but it is considered an assault style because you're moving towards that 264 or 264 version 4? Yeah, whatever it's called. Then you have the AT-15 moving towards the Tortoise, and the other American Assault TD, which is the turreted version, the T28. So, EPM, fairly good. Everything except for the AT-15 is not nearly as good as this. Of course, you do have the same gun as the T28 Proto, so you got 248 pins, so pretty good. Not the best, not the worst, and 400 damage with almost 1,000 shell velocity here. But if we go to our gold rounds, the APCR, thankfully, instead of heat, so you're not going to have to worry about that shielded armor or the spaced armor. That brings us up to 297, so that's respectable. You can take on a lot of those tier 10s with this, and then almost 1,200 shell velocity for still the 400 damage. Then we get down to the aim time. Anything under 2 is good. This one's a little bit more snipe-ish compared to the T95 because you don't have quite the armor. You want to stay back a little bit to where you're past that, few hundred or a couple hundred meters to where the penetration is not going to be quite as good for the enemy. But this is definitely one of the top other than for the AT. But the AT moving up towards that Badger are always EPM monsters. Like that is their whole theme. Then we get down to, of course, gun depression. Not so great because this is a non-turreted, although better than the SU because of the way that the hull is designed with the gun at the back. So you definitely are not going to be able to compete with AT-15 and T28 on those hills. You basically just want to find a little bit of low rubble to hide your lower plate. That is the play with this T28. Alright, speed. Yeah, you're slow. You're very slow. Not as slow as AT-15, but slow. So this will prepare you for playing the T95, which is just as slow. Now, the whole thing with the SU line, of course, is they are the faster version of the assault tank destroyers. Doesn't have quite a good armor, but because it can move into position faster and get into those better hold down locations, it can make it work. Then we get down to, of course, the armor. This is the most heavily armored out of all of them, at least in the front, but of course you do have that lower plate that is a weakness. The whole top of your tank and those cupolas. Whereas this one actually is a little bit better just because the angle of the armor allows you to bounce more shots with it. At least from when I've been playing it, that's what happens. The AT-15 is a little misleading just because of all the different little angles. It has slightly better than what it seems at 228, but there are a lot of flat plates that they can go through, so you do have to watch for that. And of course, the sides are considerably stronger than yours. And then we get down to camo. Yeah, it's an assault tank destroyer. You're not gonna really. I mean, it's pretty good. You could actually get this up if you wanted to, but that's not where I would focus um, my efforts on this. And then 370 view range, so we can pump that up a little bit, and you can spot for your team at the end. But you're so slow, you're not really gonna be spotting. Anyway, what are we gonna look at? So for me, of course, you want camouflage. We're gonna want brothers in arms, and I would say you really want to have repairs. Like that is critical for any of these really slow tank destroyers or heavy tanks. You want repairs. But the first things you'd probably end up getting, of course, Sixth Sense. You definitely have to know when you're spotted, so you can try to maneuver into a position to where you're either safe or you know that they cannot pin you. After that, we're going to want Snapshot, Smooth Ride. Of course, you want Intuition to switch between your shells. Um, the thing is, this can do with a lot of different skills. Is you could go with off-road driving here to help improve your terrain resistances. You could go with clutch braking to help with your traverse speed. This is one of those ones that there's a lot of skills that benefit this tank. But as far as our equipment, what do we want to go with? I'd probably say you're going to want vents. You're probably going to want a gun rammer. You could probably actually go with what's the other thing? Improved rotation as well. I tend to go for fire time, but honestly, I really like turbochargers on this. You could even forego the vents actually, and then go towards the improved rotation or the gun rammer. So we could actually, let me switch out. We'd probably say gun rammer here, improved rotation here, and forego the vents completely. Um, I want to say this is probably what I have set up on mine, because the speed on this thing is the one limiting factor for this tank. So that gets us up to 26 speed. It is noticeable, trust me on this thing. And then of course what was it? The reload time of 7.75, much better than everything but the AT. That is definitely also noticeable. And of course your traverse, I don't actually think it really displays that here. Well, so tank traverse of 29, so 29, whatever, that kilometers per hour? I'm not sure what that is in, but that allows you to turn, because that's going to be your downside, is the fact those faster tanks are going to try to get to your side. So anything that increases your ability to turn into them is always a blessing, for sure. Anyway, let's get over to the gameplay. And we are watching Fanatic 1966 in his T28 in his Star Spangled Camo. It's one of the newer, I don't know if it's a new camo, but they did offer this on the 4th of July for America's Independence Day celebration. Alright, so they're going to be facing Tier 9s here. He is running food, even. Oh, I need to up our here, and then we also need to change that so we can see what we're facing. He's trying to get up here before the enemy does. AE was probably in sniper mode and did not realize he was pushing him. He's trying to find probably a little hold down spot like right here. He got lucky that object 274A bounced. And he's trying to get to where just barely his gun comes out this side to minimize the spots he can be shot. But this will definitely help prepare you for fighting. Now see, problem with this is if something comes around that corner, his lower plate is completely exposed here. And he's got to be careful about pulling too far forward because stuff up in the little village on the far east can shoot you in the side. He's trying to get an angle maybe to shoot them. Oh. Gotta be very careful here. So you can take shots from behind here. Oh, look at that. Nice. He knew where a general area that they're going to be in, and he just blind fired. Took one of them out of the game already. He's telling him, I need spots so I can tell where to fire. I'll do a few more blind shots. But that is a very common spot for enemies to sit. I will blind fire there if I do get into this position, but typically I'm not in this position. Right. Oh, see, look, there he goes. He gave him his side, so I think that was up there in the middle. Tried to hit him. See, now they're all. They just waited for him to give them his side. Okay, you're not gonna be able to go through that. That one you can if he pulls out a little bit more. Yeah, that's the one downside of this. It doesn't have the best long-range sniping ability. Oh, there you go. Now you got one. That AP has pretty good. Yeah, see that has good aim time. It's just that dispersion is not great. Oh, can he get him on the run? Oh, nicely done. Not a lot of damage, but you know, another kill. Trying to get in position. Okay, they finished off that. So you see, this is a very good option to try to repel enemies from the center, as long as you've got the armor to do so. The ally's going to pull up in front of his way. Has to blind fire through. So you knew that little thing sticking off the side of that AE is not actually really there, it's just visual. And wait for the aim in. Boom! Another big hit for 376. It shows module damage, because I forgot to turn it off. They got the Coons fans are trying to rush here. I'll sit here and wait for him to try to come around this corner, maybe? Nope. Stop behind the building. Checking to see what's behind him. At this point, I think they're going to have to try to move around this corner and deal with whatever's there. As she waited for that. Now, I would not have tried to pull this play here. He could have easily been tracked more than once between that T30 and the 274. That was a missed shot. Tracked again. T34 is just going to push in. Deal with 27. Yeah, now everybody's going to rush. There you go, nicely played. Waiting for that shot in the cupola to come up. That was a little bit of luck because that's a very small thing with the dispersion this tank has. And actually, I think that's probably why it's running food. It helps with aim time and all that kind of stuff. Soft stats. Got another guy driving into his side, pushing him around. Bounced. Oh. Can't really snapshot with this. If you're on the move, you are 90% of the time going to miss that shot. There you go. Nice big heavy hit. Alright. 1600 damage, 1200 blocked. I want to say he hit a few more of those blind shots though. There's not much spotting or tracking. Comes the Char. Char doesn't know he's there, and boom, hits him once. Gotta be careful not to let it get your side. Reload, reload, reload. The other guy, okay, he got lucky and hit that last shot. 252 is trying to help him not get shot in the side by tanking shots. go, nicely done. And finally, the Kunstpanzer, who's going to get him? Not our guy, but alright, let's take a pause here and take a look at the final stats. Let's see if he actually got an ace tanker. I do know that this one, it's pretty high for an ace tanker. So a total of 3,500 damage, 4 kills, 1,200 block, 254 tracking slash spotting. But sadly enough, did not get that ace tanker. I want to say it's almost 4,000 damage to get that ace tanker in this tank, which is kind of a pain because you're so slow that it's hard to get into position sometimes. But he also got Bruiser, Demolition Expert, because he finished off that SU 101 with one shot. Fighter for destroying 4 or 5 enemies, and then Fire for effect. So definitely very well played, but there were a few mistakes. I probably would not have tried to move straight out across against 2 enemy tanks like that. That was something I would not do, but otherwise, really well played. Taking those blind shots, trying to take out those enemies that he knows the general area, so he's played that map a lot for sure. Anyway, this is Meridian Gaming. If there's any other tanks you wish to see next, just leave that in the comments of the most currently released Tech Tree Tanks episode. I will see you on the battlefield.